Sean, we don't often do this for our interviews, but this is quite the elaborate set because you've got a big personality, so we had to show it here.
Yeah, well, it's fitting, looks good. Appreciate you guys going above and beyond for me.
As long as we get the sugar seal of approval, then we're all set. As I was preparing for this interview, I realized that I don't know too much about you growing up. What was your experience in childhood like? Were you an athlete? Were you playing tons of sports?
As young as I can remember, I feel like I was always playing sports, basketball, football, baseball, soccer. Those four, we were always rotating. But I was so small, I feel like I wasn't getting the attention I wanted. That's what kind of drove me away from team sports. And that's kind of how I got introduced to combat sports.
So how did contenders come into play here? Because for the rest of us, it seemed like history was made when you stepped into that octagon for Dana White's Contender Series.
Had a horrible camp. I had a bad concussion. I was 139 pounds walking into the octagon. I battled some early adversity, but for whatever reason, I was confident. I was like, I can knock this guy out. I've been doing it, since I was 16, I've been knocking people out. I have to go out there and perform. And that's where I feel like my biggest asset is my ability to perform under the lights and get the job done no matter what.
Oh, that's it! And that is it! Sean O'Malley with a huge right hand.
So you win on Contender Series, you get into the UFC, and while we are exactly where you wanted to be, where you predicted that you would be fighting for a world title, it wasn't necessarily like a straight and perfectly smooth road. I want to talk about the Andre Sukumtot fight. Is that a moment that stands out to you? Because it certainly is for a lot of us.
It's so funny you bring that up. I hadn't watched that fight in, I would say, probably years, and I watched that fight yesterday. The first round, I drop him.
Oh! Sukumtot back to his feet.
Second round, he takes me down, ends up in a triangle, go to an arm bar, end the round on his back. In that third round, I throw a head kick.
Oh, right hand. He hurt his foot. O'Malley hurt his foot or his leg.
About 2 or 3 minutes left in the fight, my foot snaps. It was excruciating pain. Battled through adversity, got the job done.
Sean O'Malley!
I think that is where I did grow a very loyal fan base. Like, this dude is fun to watch.
I want to talk about the last time I saw you in the octagon. That was in Abu Dhabi when you fought against Petr Yan. Was anything different for you as you headed into what ultimately turned out to be probably the biggest fight of your UFC career thus far?
No, I felt very confident in that fight. I know how good Petr Yan is. As far as my mindset going into that fight, very confident. I thought I was going to be able to put his lights out in the second round. I did drop him.
Oh, nice. You got him hurt.
I should have known I'm going to turn this dude into a wrestler. I don't think his game plan was to come out there and wrestle. I think his game plan was to come out there and he thought he was going to be able to piece me up. It was vice versa.
Nice knee up the middle there from O'Malley. Left hand,
no,
he
left
split him
hand.
open.
Yan has been opened up.
That fight is very exciting. I do love watching that fight back. Very, very close fight. People are like, I thought you lost. I thought you won. I'm like, I don't care at all what anyone thinks about that fight. The judges gave me the fight. That's that. On to the next.
Did you know after that win that you would wait for an opportunity for the title, or were there other plans?
It was like, hey, do you care if we have Henry step in there? I was like, no, not at all. I know how good Aljo is. There's a reason he's been the champ as long as he's been. You're gonna give me extra months to go out there and keep wrestling, keep learning, the fundamentals and learn how to wrestle defensively. I'll take that extra time. I know how good he is.
That seems to excite you a little bit because when you're talking about it, you have a lot to say. I mean, for you, is this the greatest challenge you could have to become champion?
Absolutely. I think Aljamain is the toughest fight in the division right now, which makes sense. That's where the champion is supposed to be. 100%, this is the toughest fight to win the belt, but that gives me some extra fire, extra juice.
And you thrive under the bright lights. So August 19th, UFC 292 in Boston. What happens in our main event?
I guess we'll have to wait, tune in and find out. But I do believe at the end of the day, the Sugar Show and New defeats Aljamain Sterling one way or the other.
O'Malley in Boston, that's going to be a big one. Good luck to you. We will see you there. Thank you so much for your time,
Yes,
Sean.
thank you.
Appreciate it.